Hey everybody, so today we are gonna do an OPAZ delete on this 2005 Seadoo GTX. And what does that mean? This is the delete kit. I'm gonna come back to this, but basically you buy these block off plates. But what is OPAZ? So OPAZ is something that Seadoo added. It stands for off power assisted steering, and the way it works is basically on the back of the ski there's these things called blades. They're basically like rudders, and the way they work is, if I move this back and forth, it actually moves in tandem with the steering. And so at low speed, when you have low pump pressure, they by default will sit down in the water, and then under high pressure they raise up out of the water so that you don't have drag, because when you're running and your pump's got pressure, you don't need assisted steering. But in what the engineers had believed is that under low pressure you need the ability to steer, because I'll tell you, this hull is very hard to control at low speed conditions around the dock. It takes a lot of practice. So sometimes these things stick where they don't all come up out of the water, and they create drag, things like that. But the biggest problem is that they require 4 holes in the hull. There's one, and then it goes all the way through. On the inside here, there's the other one, number 3, and then number 4 there. And so that's 4 additional holes in the hull, and there's rubber boots in there that you can't really access or maintain. And so this has been over 15 years here. So after a while they crack and leak, and when they leak, guess what happens? You sink your ski. So that's the number one reason why people replace these. And that's why I'm going to do it. I don't care so much about the steering assist. I just don't want the ski to sink. So that's why I'm going to replace them. So let's go back and look at the kit. Okay. So the kit here, you saw the openings. So there's 4 plates. Those are on the outsides. These are on the insides. And they have little grooves cut out that the O-rings fit into. That's pretty standard stuff. And then there's some little O-rings that fit in these inside ones for those. And then this, you remember that it's the pump that's controlling the behavior. So there's a hose from the pump that goes to a through hull fitting. And so you take that hose out, it's a little elbow, and you put this in to block it off, basically. And then the through hull fitting that hose went to, you just cap it off with this, and you put the original hose clamp on it, and that's just to keep any water from going in there. It probably doesn't even need to have that on there. But that's basically it. So a couple of things with the kit, if you get one. I think I ended up with a good one. There's a bunch of different knockoffs for this, and a couple of the problems that you might look for is, you see this little drilled out recess there. That's important because there's 4 holes here that you can see from the outside that hold it on. But this 5th one is what holds the plate on the inside of the ski firm to the inside of the fiberglass. So when if you have that recess there, then that screw can stay in place, and you just put this right over it, and that's ideal. If this is flat and you don't have that, then you've got a problem, because if you take out that 5th screw, it's going to fall out on the inside of your ski, and it's a real pain in the neck to put it back in place. So your 2 options are, you can either drill this out so that you do have a recess, which I personally think is the easiest thing you can do, or there's a trick where you can take out 3 of the screws and you leave 1 in, and you do a little bit of a shell game where you put this one back in place with a screw while you're taking the old one off. So it's like a little transition so that you always have a screw in there holding it in place. But I got lucky on this one because it does have the recesses, so look for that. The other thing is that when these O-rings fit down in these grooves, make sure they don't fit so far down that they're below the depth of the groove. Otherwise, it defeats the purpose. I've checked this one, and these go pretty far down, and there's a little bit I can feel it's coming out on the top a little bit. So I'm okay with that part, but I'm still going to put RTV black around all of these surfaces just to make sure that it's sealed. And I would recommend just doing that on any of them just to make sure they're sealed. So first things first is we're going to go to the back of the ski and start taking pieces apart. Okay, so this came right out. You can discard this piece, you don't need it. And then this is what it looks like here. That's the little tube that comes from the pump that pressurizes those pistons that push it up and down. And you can just push that back in the hull. You know, it doesn't hurt anything to stay in there. And then we have to take this out. This is the little connecting rod in there. And then there's a little rubber grommet piece around here that we just push back inside the hull. You can take all that stuff out, but you don't have to. You can just leave it in there. It doesn't really hurt anything, I think. Some of you guys may disagree, and you may want to go ahead and take it all the way out. That's fine too. You can look here, and that's that little piece I was talking about that has the little flange piece that's holding this thing in place. Looks like it's got a little bit of silicone on it, but it's we're not going to take that out. We're going to leave that in there, because if we take it out, then it's going to cause this whole back plate in here to fall off, and we don't want that to happen, so we're going to leave that in place. All right, same thing on this side. Took all that off, and before we put the plates on, we're going to clean all this up real good so that we won't have any leaks, and we'll have a good bond with our sealant. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move to the inside here, and we're going to, well, first we're going to take off this assembly here, which connects to these things, which connects to this, and all that comes out. So we're going to take all that off. So for these inner pieces in here, while it's possible to take those out by themselves, we have to get back to this fitting in there. Remember, that's part of it. That's where the pump pressure comes from to drive those pistons for the blade. So we're gonna go ahead and take this whole cone out. We don't have to take the whole pump off, just the cone. You probably know how to do that anyway. It's a good opportunity to check your wear ring too. So unscrew these from the outside over here, and then you can pull these out. It's going to take a little bit of a wrestle because they're shaped like this, kind of a weird shape, so don't be afraid to kind of pull on them and pull them out like that. Okay, and so now those are out. So now we just need to take these flanges off here and here. So now we've got those unscrewed. We can just pull this off like that. And then this, we're just gonna push it on the inside like that, get it out of the way. Again, I think you can probably tear it out from the inside, but the instructions from Riva just says to push it inside, so I'm just gonna leave it in there. Okay, so now that those are out, I'm gonna take a little bit of engine degreaser and clean up these holes real good so that we've got a good surface to stick to. All right, so now we got everything cleaned up. We're ready to put it together. So this is the plate. So I'm just gonna test fit it here. And that looks pretty good. Everything fits tight, no rocking or anything like that. One thing I noticed though is, there's two holes here, and this kit has an O-ring for the big hole, but not this other one. So, what to do with that. So for that reason, I'm gonna take Ultimate Black and I'm gonna put it over the entire bottom part of the plate to make sure I get a good seal over the whole thing, because I don't want to take any chances. Like that right there. I feel pretty good about that. Also using Loctite on these bolts. This is the non-permanent stuff, the blue. And there we go. It's all on. You don't have to torque it down very tight. But I feel real good about that. It's good and sealed. That's not gonna leak. So now we have all of our plates in. Those all went on really good. Last piece is to plug this with the plug that came with it, and then to put that cap on the little fitting coming out of the hub, and then we'll just put it back together and we'll be done. Okay, so we got everything back together, all the linkages. I took all the old pieces and laid them out here, kind of in their order, so you can kind of see what all we took out. So kind of a pretty elaborate contraption that they came up with, but all that's gone now. So overall, this was a pretty easy job to do. I think anybody can do this. So I hope this helps you guys, and we'll see you next time.